came to talk about the firmament and personal luminaries. Uh, my personal opinion on the is from my experience and what I've studied. I take a little bit account into what other people say and and teach and their experiences, but generally I get everything from myself. So what I would like to say is the stars are our compass, and they're personal. And when you see them, they're close and to your perspective bubble. The moon follows you down the highway. The sun follows you down the highway. Thanks, babe. It's teapot. And Daddy's doing a video real quick. I'll get with you in 1 second. And and they all follow you. And if you can see them, they're in your perspective bubble. You can zoom in on them with your Nikon P900. I have a Nikon P900. If I can see them, they're within my distance. And somebody asked me if why they can see the Southern Crux and I can't. It's because it's your compass. I'm not supposed to see them. I'm not in that area. Now, somebody that can see the Southern Crux, a lot of people from thousands of miles, vast miles, can see the Southern Crux, but they, but other people can't. But all the people that can see that Southern Crux can take their Nikon P900 and go zoom in on some stars. You only see certain stars for certain areas because that's what they're for. The celestial sphere is an imaginary thing. It's not solid object. So everything moves basically from tropic to tropic and or changes astrological signs. So same thing with the moon. Like it's small and local to you. Whenever you see it, it's close to you. You can't see thousands of miles. Uh, so when you see it above you and it's only fighting through a few clouds, then it's only fighting over the clouds above you. But say a person 20 miles down the road is seeing it through a different set of clouds. And then somebody 20 miles south of you might not even have clouds. So um, same thing with the sun. Like on partly cloudy days, if you look above you and the sun is barely fighting through that little cloud, but if you focus and sun gaze, and the brightness isn't bothering you, you know that it's a small and local close light source. It's like, and then it'll be a small perfect ring. And then when you look down at your shadows, you can say that's a small shadow. And during the equinox, you share all basically the same size shadow. And like, so for the sun to be small, local, and personal to you, but for somebody in New York, and South America, Lima, both to appear to have a small and local sun, but yet they would have different skies, different color skies, clouds, but the same size shadows, and they both have a noon sun and a small little circle, but they're 4,000 miles apart. 4,000 miles apart. Just like I know I can't see 4,000 miles. You can't see 4,000 miles. You can see objects on the horizon better than you can see the luminaries above you. It's harder to see something on the horizon than an object on the horizon than it is to see the luminaries above you. My camera is only 10-mile zoom max. So that tells me that the luminaries, when I'm seeing them, are not that far. So, like, supposedly by globe science, that sun rises 6 time zones to my east. That's in Europe. Yeah, I know. I can't see Europe. I can't even see half that distance. I can't even see the Atlantic Ocean generally where I'm at when I live in Mississippi. Like, so when it's 9 o'clock, it's above me in my area, but that's 3 hours, 3 time zones, 1,500 miles supposedly, roughly. I can't see that far. So when you do see your luminaries, they're personal to you and personal to your realm and kingdom, your area. So each nation has its own ray and light source known as the sun. Nikola Tesla said that. And like, I personally think they're personal. I think it's even further than that. So just like when we all see the Big Dipper for thousands of vast miles, just like people in the South can see the Southern Crooks from different continents, they all can zoom in on it, on those stars with their Nikon P900s, just as we can all zoom in on the Big Dipper stars here in the north. They are your compass. But as we've shown high altitude balloon footages at 100,000 feet, they don't show you the stars, no satellites, obviously, or the moon, because the moon maxes the sky at times. I believe it's within the sky, and the sun is above all things. And then that's why I don't believe the dome to be a solid object. I believe it to be illusory, to be an imaginary celestial sphere that's projected from each of our minds. Like we are the light, and that's I'll constantly keep saying that until somebody can prove me wrong, prove me that there's a solid object up there, and they're all spinning in three different directions, straight on the equator, one way in the north, one way in the south. Like solid objects don't spin in three. Molten glass does not spin in three different directions. So I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but it's really getting frustrating. Listening to people coming up with more theoretical pseudoscience, just like I explained, water, like how we see water in our natural world, and we now understand that it can't convex to the exterior of an object or shape. So that's like somebody telling you that, like, oh, we know the properties of glass, molten glass. Well, we know that it can't spin in three different directions. So just because the fixed stars gives you the appearance, or seemingly the appearance of turning in separate directions, or being as one, but at the equator and in different parts, they're just perfectly rotating around you. Like they're coming to and away from you, which in the north they circle you, and the south they circle you. But generally, they're always local and close to you. So if you see them, they're close. And I honestly believe that. I honestly think that. My camera tells me that. My eyes tell me that. That they're objects in the sky are closer to me than buildings I zoom in on the horizon. And I also find it magical that the sun and the moon are much larger on the horizon, and you can see details of the moon with the naked eye on the horizon, but yet not so much when it's above you and smaller. Like so, the firmament acts as it's a personal firmament, I think, because like when it's on your east or west, and you get this little bitty dot that's on the horizon, and you're only looking at a small portion of the earth when the sun's rising in the east, setting in the west, and that's only a small portion of the earth. So like you think somebody 1,000 miles north of you is looking at the same sunrise as you, or the person 6 time zones to my east that's looking at a noon sun is seeing the same one that's rising for me, that I know that I can't see thousands of miles, hundreds of miles, but it's right there over my vicinity when it's rising or setting. Like on the land that I see, look at the land you're looking at and underneath the luminaries whenever you're doing these observations. Start learning how your eyes work and how far you can see. It's really important. Like this is why I don't believe the luminaries are solid objects, and they're personal to and kin to each one of us. That Tesla quote about how we're all connected, just like the stars in the firmament, but with the ties you cannot see them, but you can feel them. I don't believe that quote tells me that the firmament's not solid. And if you can travel above and beyond the stars and the moon, and all you see is the sun from high altitude footage, and that tells you that it's not a solid object. I don't understand when everybody commonly says that there's only inner space, no outer space, why there would have to be a dome. Why can't we just have inner space in existence? And once you accept that the luminaries aren't solid objects, and that time doesn't real and time doesn't exist, and the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and it's personal to each one of you, and you have a set time of day based off your grid location and your stars or your compass, that it's a divine grand scheme. It's a system environment. There's no need for fallacies. And And a lot of this stuff we'll never have to understand. We'll never understand a lot of God's handiwork. We'll just know that it is God's handiwork. And that's the most important thing to know. Like, there's nothing else beyond knowing that it's God's handiwork that's more important than that. And people are always looking for answers of like why the stars are floating in the sky, or they make up theories and stuff. There's a bunch of truths out there that I'm sure that they know, and the technology and science that we're not being told about. But I want to encourage people to stay away from making up things. It's cool to theorize, but don't start proposing ideas. I have people on my Facebook doing stuff like that and planting seeds in people's head, and people can run with seeds, and it can really be problematic to the movement and things like that. But I have no reason or explanation on why some stars wander, some are fixed, or some are not. But I generally do know that sailors have been finding their way forever based off their grid location of the stars. So um, the best way you can tell is riding on the highway. The sun and the moon follow you. They follow you. On cloudy days, watch how fast that sun or moon goes through the clouds above you. And then that sun is small. If you've ever sun gazed, please go sun gaze. It's a small circle, and it shines right at you, and it's white and emits all colors. It's a beautiful experience, but you can tell it's a small ring, and that small ring would have to be a small ring to produce the same size shadow. You look down at the ground, it's a small shadow. It's not like play with light sources and shadows, and try to get the shadow that you have on your wall, and then start judging how big the light source would be away. Uh, Such simple things like this we were taught and tricked with about the sun, about how big and far it is away from childhood. So the simple things we haven't gone back and tested and tried, even just the simple things on how our eyes work and shadows work. Uh, so, and then people want to create this finite one sun model. This is like, this is counterproductive to knowledge, because even on globe science and this Gleason pizza disc model, you can't have a one sun model, because one sun model means that the sun is responsible for everything, and for there to be such drastic change in weather when it's going from tropic to tropic, and there's only one sun, but yet one day it's 80 degrees, and the next day there's snow on the ground. The next day it's 80 degrees, but yet it feels slowly going away from that tropic to the other tropic. Every day should be a bit colder or a bit warmer, but it's not. And you know, the terra firma and the ether helps control it. The supplements supplement heat. The sun is a supplement of heat. You go out and you sit in the sun. The longer you sit in the sun, the hotter you will get. It's not like it's a set temperature that you reached at a day. Your body is like a reactor to it, like you're connected to it. Like, same thing with everybody else. Everything else. And that's why the hottest part of the day is 4 o'clock, or else it would be 12 o'clock. But everything's already like soaked in the sun all day. It's reacted to the sun, and the sun is just a supplement of heat. It's not the only source of heat. And if it was, its position in the sky would matter, but it doesn't. It rarely moves from day to day, but yet each day is extremely, extremely different. You know, the winds help this, the ether helps this, and I believe the ground has its own temperature system too. So that's just a belief. That's not a fact. But there's more to our world than what we're being told. But I will stand by firmly that we see personal luminaries, uh, and you know, it's a divine system environment. You'll never be lost on Earth. You'll never ever be lost. You'll always have a light, no matter where you go. if you're at the North Pole or South Pole. Now, it may only reach so far, but we're part of the divine system environment. This is our home. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. Hello, David Rogue from Southwest Louisiana. I'm in Atlanta right now at Motel 6. Tucker, my wife's sister is graduating. So, but I'm just a noble idiot. I only woke up a few years ago. I only started doing research on stars and luminaries a couple years ago. So, I just want everybody to go do their own research, not believe anything I say. Go test these things yourself. Start observing things yourself. I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know anything. Everything is just based off personal experience and what I see. So if you ask me a question, please come back and wait for my answer. I'd like to have a discussion and debate. We'll admit that I'm wrong. But I don't think the dome is solid, and I don't think there's a one sun, one moon model. I think everybody's doing it wrong as far as flat Earth, convex, simulation theory. The only person that comes close to me right now with flat Earth theories is Sam Kelly. He's a bit aggressive and can be kind of violent with his message because he cares about it. But he runs a Book of Enoch channel, and he's really good on knowing where stars are and stuff like that, and information on where the stars are. He's where I get a lot of my information from. But none of the big popular channels are really telling the truth on anything. Pizza model's wrong, concave Earth, convex Earth, simulation theory. Like I said, it's all just bullshit. But anyway, love, peace, and hugs.